Hello everybody, I am Karryshh and today I'm back with another Japanese horror. This time we're going out on a trip to a place called Toshimaen Amusement Park. But the twist is, there are some rules. You must never break those rules cause if you do so, you will be cursed. The movie is called Toshimaen Haunted Park actually and is a fun watch. The story isn't complex but if you're looking for a scary movie to watch with friends, I think this one has that gist in it. Now if you're new, subscribe, like and share. Follow me on Instagram where I reply every single one of you personally. With that, sit back and relax, grab some snacks and watch Toshimaen Haunted Park recap. So this story begins with a guy named Yuichi, an influencer who came to an amusement park called Toshimaen Park with his two friends, Chan and Chan's girlfriend Aiko. The three of them were there to knock on the door of an old mansion because according to a legend, anyone who knocks on that door gets transported to another world. They knock on the door and within moments, they hear a terrifying noise coming from inside. Strange voices echo around the mansion and suddenly, some invisible force drags Chan inside. Yuichi and Aiko freaks out as the mansion door locks itself and moments later, the same force grabs Aiko as well, pulling her to a dark corner, and in the end, it catches Yuichi too and unalives him. The camera drops to the ground and the merry-go-round ride in the park starts spinning on its own. Now the scene shifts to a girl named Saki who just graduated from high school. Her friends call her out to a meeting and when she steps outside, she finds herself staring at a house in her neighborhood. From that house, Mrs. Kobayashi waves her over, which shocks Saki. You see, years ago, the Kobayashi family used to live there and Saki had a best friend named Yuka Kobayashi. One day, Yuka suddenly disappeared and no one ever found out what happened to her. After her disappearance, the Kobayashi family moved away. But now, Mr. and Mrs. Kobayashi are back to clean up the house cause it's being sold. Mrs. Kobayashi is happy to see Saki again since she used to be Yuka's best friend. She even gives her free tickets to Toshimaen Park. Saki accepts the ticket, but when Mrs. Kobayashi offers her an old photo of her and Yuka, Saki gets uncomfortable, doesn't take the photo and quickly leaves. Later, Saki meets up with her four friends. Their names are Anju, Ami, Chiaki and Kaya. They're hanging out cause Saki's about to move away for college. While chatting, they bring up the topic of missing Yuka and Saki tells them she just met Yuka's mother and shows them the Toshimaen Park tickets which expires the next day. The group decides to visit the park the next day, but before that, for fun, they go to check out Yuka's old house, which her parents had just cleaned and left. They mess around, record videos and explore the place until suddenly, Saki sees something in Yuka's room's window, but no one else can see whatever she was seeing. Anyway, that night Saki dreams about Yuka and we learn that as kids, Saki once promised Yuka that they will always be together forever. Now the next day, the five girls meet again and head to Toshimaen Park. They first go to the merry-go-round ride and we find out that it was built 110 years ago in Germany. Later, it was moved to the US and finally it was brought in Japan in 1971. So the ride got quite a history. But to be honest, this history is not used in this movie, which kinda makes it info-dumb. And I don't like this personally in movies. After that, they ride the roller coaster, visit the haunted house, and spend the whole day having fun. When they're about to leave, they pass by the old mansion and Ami suddenly stops because she was scared of the curse stories about the park. The girls start talking about the Toshimaen Park's curse, and that's when we learn that there are three rules about this park which everyone must follow. The first rule is, don't knock on the old mansion's gate. Second rule is, don't respond to anyone inside the haunted house. And third rule is, don't look into the secret mirror inside the mirror world. Anyone who breaks these rules gets a curse, but of course, the girls just laugh it off. None of them actually believe in curses except for Ami. Anyway, all the girls wanted to have some fun and that's why they head toward the old mansion. Then Anju, tells Saki to knock on the door, but before she could, Kaya does it instead. The moment she knocks, the door slowly creaks open on its own and everyone freaks out. But just then, a security guard comes out, yells at them to leave and walks away. The girls laugh at the security guard and they tease Kaya and call her a cursed woman before they run off and leave her behind. But after they leave, Kaya starts hearing strange whispers around her. The sounds suddenly stop, but she's already panicking. She tries to catch up to her friends, but she couldn't find him anywhere. After a while, the girls start getting worried since Kaya isn't picking up her phone now. Then, Saki notices a blood stain on her bag, and when she opens it, she finds a blood-soaked piece of paper. She quickly throws it away, but you must remember this paper for later. That's when Saki's phone rings. It was Kaya, but her voice sounds strange and distorted, like she was in trouble. The group immediately goes looking for her, and meanwhile Kaya finds herself inside her old school. She sees a vision from years ago when Yuka was still alive. We see that back then only Saki used to talk to Yuka. Yuka was quiet and introverted, and other girls often made fun of her or ignored her. Anyway, in that vision, Kaya hears those same creepy voice again, and on the other side, the girls still couldn't find her. Now suddenly, Kaya calls Saki again. She tells them to meet her inside the haunted house. The group rushes there, but the place was already closed. Kaya calls Saki again and she insists that they come inside the haunted house. Saki, Anju and Chiaki decide to go inside though Ami was terrified. Still a bit later, she reluctantly follows and all four girls enter the dark haunted house. Inside it was pitch black, filled with the usual creepy stuff, but soon they see Kaya standing still and possessed, muttering over and over one thing: "Don't knock on the old mansion door, don't knock on the old mansion's door." Then suddenly she turns demonic, attacks her friends and vanishes. Ami now completely loses it and she runs off, ending up alone in the haunted house, which was not a good move. She tries calling Anju, but she couldn't reach her. Then as the haunted attraction grows eerier, Ami gets a text from an unknown number, and that person says to keep quiet. Moments later, someone inside the haunted house calls out to her, and Ami, out of fear, responds. Then another text appears on her phone. It says that by answering, she has broken rule number 2. After breaking the rule, Ami starts hearing the same evil voice Kaya did. But luckily, her friends find her and she tells them that she broke the second rule. Hearing that, Chiaki panics and she runs out of there. Now once outside, Ami and Chiaki both wanted to go home, but Anju and Saki, they wanted to stay and look for Kaya. Now you see, Ami was so scared that she decides to call her mother. On the phone, her mother tells her to come to a corner of the park, but we realize that it's not really her mother. Ami follows the voice anyway, and the curse drags her into another world. Meanwhile, Anju, Chiaki and Saki notice that Ami is now missing. And in that other world, Ami finds herself back at her old school, where she sees Yuka sitting alone and sad. Saki approaches her, but the other girls stop her. They huddle together and they gossip about Yuka being not their type and that they should stay away from her. But obviously Yuka was listening to everything and she looked kinda heartbroken. After witnessing all this, Ami now hears the same evil whisper behind her and we catch a glimpse of a dark entity following her. The remaining girls are growing more terrified. Chiaki starts believing that Toshimaen curse is actually real and she thinks that Kaya and Ami are both gone. She tells everyone that they should leave, but just then, Anju spots Ami running into the mirror house. Now obviously Chiaki doesn't want to go in because she knows that a secret mirror is inside the mirror world. However, Anju refuses to abandon her friends and she runs inside. After Anju, Saki and Chiaki have no choice but to follow. Now inside the mirror maze, the three of them search for Ami and they finally find her sitting and crying in a corner. Anju runs up to her, but suddenly, right before their eyes, Ami vanishes, leaving only her purse behind. Chiaki realizes that it's definitely the curse, and now without meaning to, the three girls were standing right in front of the secret mirror. Inside that mirror, Chiaki sees an evil version of Yuka as she runs away terrified. As Chiaki runs away, Yuka appears right behind Anju, scaring the life out of her, and then she vanishes in an instant. Saki then quickly pulls Anju out, and the two of them run straight out of the mirror world to find Chiaki. By now, it was pretty clear that this whole curse somehow revolves around Yuka. Something terrible must have happened to her in the past, and now it's haunting these girls. And if you're not stupid, then I think you already know where this story is going. Now, outside the mirror world, Saki, Chiaki, and Anju talk about this curse. They all believe in this curse story, but it was too late. They have already broken the third rule by looking into the secret mirror. As they talk, we find out that Yuka disappeared 3 years ago, and whatever happened inside Toshimaen Park. And deep down, all the girls knew what actually went down that day. The story cuts to a flashback from 3 years ago. We see Yuka and her friends, but like always, only Saki was talking to Yuka. Now that day when Saki went to the washroom, the other 4 girls found the same viral video we saw at the beginning, the one about the Toshimaen curse. And after watching the video, Anju dared Yuka to knock on the old mansion's door. They claimed that it was just for fun, because those girls wanted to make Yuka a bit more friendly, but Yuka wasn't interested in this dare. She only wanted to hang out with Saki. That day, Chiaki even made a little map for Yuka to find the mansion, but Yuka wanted nothing to do with it. Still, when the others left her alone, Yuka quietly went to the old mansion and knocked on the door. That single act cursed her, and she disappeared soon after. That is why the present, her evil spirit, is hunting those girls one by one for what they did. Now, I don't want to spoil the story, but let's imagine you go to a particular park and there's this person you all don't like. Then something horrible happens to that person and you all run away. But why would you go 3 years later to that same park, even after knowing the curse stories, with the tickets given by the parents of that particular person who went missing 3 years ago, and you all know what you did to that person? Why would someone choose to do something like that? That's why I think this movie has less logic to it, but still it's fun to watch. Anyway, back to the movie. In the present, the 3 surviving girls were completely shaken. They realized their only option left is run home, but on their way out, Chiaki suddenly disappeared. And up ahead, Saki and Anju find themselves facing a massive ravine blocking the exit. There was no way across and they were trapped inside the park. That's when Saki notices that Chiaki is gone, but Chiaki isn't lost somewhere. She's acting on her own plan. She had figured out from the internet that if she rode the ride of merry-go-round, the curse would finally break. And since Saki and Anju wouldn't listen to her, she purposely left them behind. Now while she's alone, Chiaki's phone suddenly started playing a video they all filmed at Yuka's house. At first the video was normal, but then it turns glitchy and demonic. Out of nowhere, Yuka's ghost appears on screen, scaring Chiaki so badly that she throws her phone away and runs. A while later, Saki and Anju find Chiaki's phone, and when they look into it, they find a video of Chiaki. In it, Chiaki keeps repeating that riding the merry-go-round will end the curse. She says it over and over until Yuka's evil figure creeps up behind her. Yuka grabs Chiaki and the 2 girls watching the video, drop the phone in horror, and they run. They rush to the merry-go-round ride to try to end the curse themselves, but the ride won't start. The power was out. They soon realize the only way to fix it is to restore the electricity from the control room on the far side of the park. Now they were scared, but they were determined, and that's why Saki and Anju head toward the electrical building. Inside the building, it was dark and flickering with weak lights, but they managed to flip the main switch open to get the power running again. But as they're about to leave though, they hear Chiaki's voice calling from a nearby room for help. They check it out, only to find a creepy altar with a miniature model of the merry-go-round placed on it. That's where they realize someone must have deliberately placed this curse on this park. Now, whoever that person was, we don't know, but there was something else as well. The girls find an old group photo of their group, but every face of the ones who had died so far is melted and distorted. Right next to it, they discover two skeletons hidden under a sheet. Turns out those skeletons belong to Mr. and Mrs. Kobayashi, Yuka's parents. So yeah, Yuka's mom and dad were dead too, but since their daughter's death was caused by those girls, her parents' spirit wanted revenge. That's why Mrs. Kobayashi gave Saki those free tickets at the start, because she knew Saki was about to go abroad and they wanted to make her face for what she had done before that. Well, you see, with this revelation, I'm not surprised at all. Just then, Yuka's evil spirit shows up. Both girls run for their lives, but Yuka starts chasing him. She gets closer and closer, and as soon as they step outside the power station, Yuka grabs Anju and drags her back inside, slamming the door shut. Saki tries to open it while hearing Anju scream from inside. When she finally manages to get in, Anju was gone. The door closes again behind her, trapping Saki inside, and Yuka's spirit slowly appears in front of her. Seeing Yuka in that form completely shocks Saki, but here, the scene shifts to the past. Now finally, we find out that Yuka once asked Saki to go to Toshimaen Park with her, cause that's where they used to hang out as children. Yuka had made Saki a promise that they will never leave each other's side, but Saki obviously broke that promise. Now back in the present, Saki tearfully apologizes for everything. Then she finds a bloody photo of her and Yuka together. Remember the bloodied piece of paper Saki found earlier? Well, that piece of paper was this photo. And it was also the same photo Mrs. Kobayashi gave her at the beginning of the movie, but she refuses to take it. Anyway, hearing her apology, Yuka disappears and the door opens. Saki then runs straight to the merry-go-round, and she starts the ride. But you see, she left that bloodied photo behind. She sits on a horse, but it doesn't move. The lights go out again, and she starts crying in fear. Finally, Yuka appears once more, and she stood right next to her. And she hands her that same bloody photo. However, once again, Saki refuses to take it. Damn girl, just take the photo. I mean, in this entire movie, the curse was trying to give Saki that photo, and maybe just maybe, Yuka's spirit wanted Saki to accept their friendship and apologize for what she had done. But Saki constantly refuses to take that photo, and that's why Yuka's evil spirit grabs her as she laughs maniacally. Now after this, Saki suddenly wakes up in a hospital inside the park. A nurse tells her that people found her unconscious near the merry-go-round ride. Saki thinks she somehow survived the curse and starts feeling relieved. Then, the story flashes back to the day Yuka disappeared. We find out that when Saki came back from the washroom, she learned that the other girls had dared Yuka to knock on the mansion's door. Saki knew Yuka didn't want to do that, so she told her not to do it. But that's when Yuka gave her the photo we've been seeing throughout the movie. But soon after that, Saki herself pressured Yuka to knock. Cause you see, Saki wanted Yuka to be open, so she can be more friendly with others. Yuka told her that she only wanted to be friends with her, but here Saki cared more about her image as she didn't want to look like a loner in class like Yuka. Eventually, in the end, Saki ended their friendship right there and handed the photo back. But Yuka was desperate not to lose her. That's why Yuka agreed to knock on the mansion door in the first place, and that's how she died by the curse. So yeah, it turns out Saki was selfish herself. She was just as responsible for Yuka's death as the other girls. Now back in the present, the lights suddenly go out again. It was still night. Yuka's evil spirit now slowly approaches Saki. She laughs creepily as she peers through the door, and Saki screams in terror. And the movie ends with her scream, meaning Saki finally paid the price for what she did. Anyway, this was a recap of the movie Toshimaen Haunted Park, and this movie gets a 6 out of 10 from my side. It is fun. If you like Japanese horror, you can watch it. Not confusing either, so you don't have to run the wheels of your brain to understand it. Now, if you have liked the video, I want you to give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe. Your free support is what's keeping demonic archives alive. Follow me on Instagram to chat personally, join my Telegram for this channel's update, and with that, I thank you all for watching my video. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay alert, cause they always see you.